Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to MindShifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Ara-maic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Ara-maic, Rahma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce. To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. If you want to speak to Michael, please press 1. That lets me know, and I'll put you in queue. Welcome to our show, and today is Memorial Day Celebration 171. Hello, Michael. You're not there.
Excuse me, my mute button was on.
There he is.
Welcome to the show. We're glad you're here. And what's that thing about Memorial Day? Well, actually, we're honoring Memorial Day and Veterans Day on an ongoing basis. And the way that we're honoring the people who have been forced to murder in war, to be murdered, to suffer, to experience trauma and stress that no human should have to go through, and then take those traumas and that stress home to their families or not go home to their families. We are here to eliminate war and create a world of peace. How are we going to do that, eliminate war? That seems like a big task. Yes, it is a big task, and Margaret Mead, once said that, a small, committed group of people is the only thing that's ever changed the world. Well, we may be that small, committed group of people that are going to change that, or at least be part of changing that. And how are we going to do it? We're inviting you every day for the rest of eternity, for you to look at one thing in your life where you're willing to be responsible, true ownership, where if you've got a conversation to have about something, you talk only about yourself in that something rather than talk about everybody else and focus on what everybody else is doing, that you actually talk about yourself, you actually focus on yourself, you actually do the forgiveness work of removing the hostility and fear from your mind. The reason why there's war, the reason there's conflict, the reason there's fight is because we humans have been trained that everybody else is responsible for what's going on within us. And we get so busy trying to take the speck out of our brother's eye that we forget we have a beam in our own that reduces our intelligence, defiles our perception, and causes us to play the game of pointing the finger at somebody else. So our request at this point is you look at just one issue, even the smallest issue in your life where today you're willing to be responsible and you're willing to let go of some little piece of hostility or fear, some little piece of the cause of war. And when enough people do that, we'll hit critical mass. There's going to be a shift on the planet. So that's our main project here. And beyond that, we're looking at the Ara-maic idea of forgiveness. How do you change these realities of hostility and fear? If you're not familiar with our website and what this tool is about, forgiveness in Ara-maic, the root of our work, is a word that describes a tool that you go inside yourself and remove your hostility or fear. It's a tool with which you remove what never belonged in a human form. And so to find that tool, if this is a new conversation for you, we invite you to go to the website, whyagain.com. That's whyagain.com. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. It's about the 6th link down. Click on that link, and the first 5 links will give you the whole forgiveness story, exactly how to change the contents of your mind, not how to let other people off the hook because that content is there. So we invite you to participate. We invite you to pick something you're willing to deal with today. And, Jeanie, do we have any callers or anything going on in the chat room?
Nobody has
Anywhere.
their hand up. Nobody has their hand up, but David and Tim are both on.
Well, welcome, David and Tim. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing quite well,
thank you.
Hi, David.
Hey, Tim. How are you doing, my friend?
Very well, thank you.
Good. How was your group last night?
Last night, the group was fabulous. We had 8 people plus me, and we did a little deviation. We played an hour of one of Guy Finley's CDs that overlaps beautifully with Michael's work and the idea that it's all an inside job. And after that, we had a volunteer do a worksheet. And she was doing a worksheet because she was very angry and feeling hostile about the fact that a virus, a malware, got onto her computer, and even her computer professional wasn't able to get rid of it all, and then it came back again. So she had a lot of anger, and she had a tightness in her shoulder and her arm. And she's a Reiki master and teacher, and she does body talk, and she's been doing all these things trying to get rid of the pain in her shoulder and her arm for a couple weeks now, and it hasn't gone away. So she did her worksheet on the malware and the person that wrote the malware, and her emotions were frustration and hostility, and her thoughts were, no matter what I do, I can't get rid of this thing. And that this person, this is an evil person who's using their intelligence to hurt others. So that's why she was feeling hostile. So she had a goal for the other person to use their intelligence for the greater good. And then as she got down to writing her emotions, she realized that she had this urge to punch the computer. And when she felt that urge and her arm tensed up, she realized that's exactly where she's been feeling the pain in her shoulder and her arm.
Awesome.
And so when she got down to canceling her goal for the other person to use their intelligence for greater good, and she did at number 5, we make that step we use the 12-step worksheet. So at number 5, we get it very experiential and have her visualize the most loving thoughts she can. And she went back to very young images of herself and her family. And then when she went to cancel the goal for the other person to use their intelligence for the greater good, she went right back to scenes from her young life and her family where she knew her brother, who had mental health problems, had serious problems and needed help, and the adults were too busy with their own issues, and no one was paying attention to the fact that her brother needed serious help. And she felt she had to do something about this, and no matter what she did, she couldn't fix or help her brother. So she wasn't smart enough, and it was never going to work out, and that was the same feeling she had about trying to get rid of the software. And she had a huge wave of guilt hit her because she wasn't able to fix her brother and she wasn't able to fix the family dynamics. And so she processed through that and then came back out, realized that currently she was feeling guilt, and then what she sees about the situation in 1A is that it's really not about her not being able to handle the software problem. It's about this old guilt from her grade school years where she felt responsible for fixing her brother and she had no idea how to do that. Earlier in the worksheet process, there was a huge aha moment for people because this is one of our regulars in the group, and she's been doing worksheets for almost 2 years now. And when she got to reading about how the truth is my reality is strictly internal, it's unique to me, and is created out of my own thoughts, she stopped and she said, but wait a minute, how am I creating it? I didn't create this malware. I didn't create this computer problem. And so it just flashed to me to tell her, well, think about it this way. You didn't create the outside actuality, but you're creating everything about your response to it. And she started to launch into, yes, but anybody would. And I said, well, now wait a minute, because we'll call her Mary for the purposes of this discussion. I said, think about how St. Mary would handle this if Mary was having a good day and using all of her Reiki and body talk knowledge and spiritual growth work that she's done for 40 years. I said, I can imagine St. Mary getting malware on her computer and saying, oh, great, now I get to get rid of this old bumbling computer and the universe is going to bring me a new one. And I can imagine now I don't have to do work because I can't, so there's more time for me to play music and go visit friends. And if I was in my right mind, if I was coming from the space of love, that would be St. Mary's response. And the ripple went through the whole group of people getting the aha about what's actually being created in the moment is not the problem with the computer, but my response to it. And there's a fabulous aha moment for the group. And one person just took a 2-minute segment to talk about how it hit her and how she understands now why she's doing several things in her life the very same way. And on her good days, she breezes right through problems that on her bad days, they cripple her. So we got through the worksheet, and it was a fabulous shift for the person, we'll call her Mary, who was doing the worksheet, and she started feeling the shift in her shoulder and arm as it relaxed. And by the time she left, she said there's almost no discomfort in her shoulder and arm. So it was a fabulous evening, as many of these evenings are in the MindShifter group.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. You know, one of the things that came up for me while that was going on was the consistency that the young lady had with doing the worksheets. As you said, she's been doing the work for a couple of years and done lots of worksheets. And, you know, as Michael continues to talk about building the brain cells that are creating this unraveling, and I can just, in my mind, see all of the people there getting this major aha that connected energy and the willingness of the group there, that through the consistency of doing it, that there was a major piece for everyone. And just as you were talking about it, it resonated some encouragement within myself as in continuously doing the work. For it's nice to be able to have those stories and to hear the success of that then reinforces it within myself. So thank you, Kim. It was very nice.
Well, you're welcome, and congratulations to all of the people who are doing the work and seeing big changes in their life experience as a result.
Absolutely. And, you know, the principle that brings forward that story and how powerful that is, but the principle that it brings forward to me is for us to really recognize, and they not only recognized, they understood it totally in the Ara-maic, that when we're in some form of hostility or fear, there is a part of our mind that we've dissociated from, and that part of our mind is showing us something that's absolutely untrue. My upset is about this computer virus. 100% of the time, when there's hostility or fear, there's a dissociated part of the mind. And the Ara-maic, they understood this so well, they had a suffix that they added to a word to indicate that hidden part of the mind was where the reality was coming from, and it had nothing to do with the actuality. So the actuality is a computer virus, and, I could imagine with some of the work that Mary has done, that very possibly there would have been times in her life if this had happened where she just sat, gone into a deep meditation, and just embraced this person who's in so much pain that they would take all this time to write this insane malware to interrupt people's lives, that she would probably embrace and hold him in love or her in love to support their healing. And we're disempowered whenever those UTA brain cells take over. And what we do is we get to live in the what Yeshua referred to as taking the speck out of a brother's eye when we have a beam in our own. And so the focus becomes everybody else, in this case, a guy that she's never met, or a gal, she doesn't even know what gender it is. And maybe it wasn't even a gender. Maybe it was written by a computer, Maybe a total, complete fantasy that there's even a person involved. It may well have been written by a computer. And that total fantasy occupies her so much. And the UTA brain cells that were producing that reality, second principle it's important to get here, were in her arm and her shoulder. And that's where her pain was. And those UTA brain cells, when they want to come to the surface, when something comes along and resonates them, they speak up as pain in our bodies. But when we function out of them, we'll get into, this person, they're so terrible, they deserve my rage and my fear. And we never stop to recognize the connection when we go into that rage and fear of how lousy we feel afterwards and how much pain we have. You watch the person who goes along in a fairly happy, connected space for X number of days, and then somebody, gives them the look or whatever, and something comes up, and they go into their grumbling, groaning, misery mode. They shut down, and then, later that day, their stomachs hurt, their back hurts, their shoulders hurt, their legs hurt. They can't sleep. They're in all kinds of pain and trauma, and they never link those two things. They go, I've got something physical going on again. There's nothing physical. UTA brain cells fire. And if you haven't been in any of the classes, UTA is a suffix, O-O-T-A, that's added to a word that represents a condition in the mind. And when you add it to that word, it tells you that word or that whatever that state of mind represents is unconscious. By adding the suffix UTA, it tells you that state of mind is unconscious, and it is controlling both perception and behavior. So if you find yourself behaving out of hostility and fear, raging at somebody, blaming somebody, giving somebody the silent treatment, whatever it looks like, notice what that feels like in your body. Instead of the willingness to go, ooh, I have some pain in my body, I'm in my hostility, I think I'll take a breath and let go of this. Most people love their pain and their fear so much, they're really not interested in letting go of it. Oh, they speak all kinds of nice words about, I love God. They don't love God at all. They love the state of their pain and their trauma that allows them to feel something that maybe has them, somehow fantasizing that they've got some kind of control when they're there, that's where their power lies. But it's really the opposite. It's a trickster. It's what takes away our power. So that's an awesome story to share, Tim, and some awesome principles there, I think, for us to all learn from.
Well, it's why we do the radio show. It's why those of us who run support groups run them, because it's shifts like that lead to very real, very lasting changes in people's lives. And so thank you, Michael and David, for your support in this work and for the radio show, because it's what's making it possible at more wider, broader, and deeper levels for people all over the U.S. and the world. So thank you.
Yeah, we're definitely blessed by Carol Guy's idea that we join her Angel Radio Network and do this show daily. And folks, if there's anybody anywhere in the world that you know that is in some kind of suffering or pain, pass our number on to them. Or if they're in a place where they can't phone us, pass on that website address and invite them to jump on the show. Invite them to ask questions. It amazes me how when I get into a room with people, I finish a presentation, and there's always 24 people that have a question. And if you're out there and you have that question, if we were doing one-on-one and you'd ask me that question, please call the show. You can do it totally anonymously, disguise your voice, whatever. Give us a name because we asked for a name and where you're calling from. But, if your name is Charlie and you're calling from Fort Lauderdale and you want to be anonymous, tell us your name is Mary and that you're calling from Canada. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. We would like to tap in with you. But please call the show, ask the question. The call-in number, 646-200-4169. 646-200-4169. The forgiveness tool that Tim's talking about is on our website, whyagain.com. Right-hand side, 6th link down, download worksheets. Click on that, and the first 5 links will give you the whole story on forgiveness. We invite you to actually put the pen to the paper. When you first look at the worksheet, it may not make any sense. If you look at it and you go, geez, I don't get this, then skip directly to the 3rd link under download worksheets. The 3rd link is a totally brand new person. We were out in Oregon back a few months ago, and there was a medical doctor who did not know about us being there until a week or so after we left. And they called into the show totally fresh with worksheets, and this young lady was so courageous in exposing herself and did one of the most powerful and awesome worksheets I've ever seen. So if you want to be inspired, click on that 3rd link. It's an MP3, and by the way, you can go back through. We've been doing this show since January. Every day you can go back through 5 days a week and click on the archives. Jeanie's titled them so you can get a sense of what they're about. If you see one of your titles, give it a listen. And then if that listening brings up questions for you or comments, then please feel free. Pick up the phone, call us, ask your question. Your question is everybody's question. Your question is important. And as you do that, a lot of people want to do one-on-one work. Well, this is the place to do one-on-one work. I actually don't do any private practice anymore. People often ask for that, but I just don't do it. This is the closest I get, and, of course, in our intensives. Now, if you want to do some one-on-one work and, kind of get another level of support, you're certainly welcome to contact Jeanie. She does one-on-one sessions with people over the phone and in person. If you happen to be in St. Petersburg at this point, that's where we are. And tomorrow night, we'll be at St. Petersburg Unity, the campus downtown. And we'll be doing Healing Through Relationships tonight. And tomorrow night we'll be doing Codependence to Interdependence. If you want to go through some of the codependence work, now's the time to do it. And, of course, we have DVDs and CDs of all the workshops that we do. So you're also welcome to go to the website and order those. And that's, of course, one of the ways you can support our work. Our next series will actually finish here on Thursday night. And we've got a couple of weeks set aside to do some writing and some organizational work. And then we'll be down in Pompano Beach, Florida, down in South Florida, just north of Fort Lauderdale, the first week of December. You can get this all on the website under the travel schedule. We'll be doing a 7-day series at Unity of Pompano, first week in December. Then we're actually going to fly out. My daughter is, we've also got, I missed a piece. The night before we start in Pompano Beach, we're going to be in Boca. Saturday, December the 3rd? December 3rd, we'll be doing Why Is This Happening to Me Again in Boca Raton at a place called the Heart Painter Studio. Then the next day we'll do the service at Unity, and we'll do Why Is This Happening to Me Again in the afternoon. We'll be doing a shortened version at the Heart Painter Studio. It'll be a 2.5-hour Why workshop. And then on Sunday we'll do a 3.5-hour Why workshop. Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Friday night, and then all day Saturday, MindShifters and Still Point Breathing. Then we're taking another week to do some writing and organizational work, a little bit of playing, and we fly to St. Louis on December 17th because on December 21st, my daughter is scheduled to give birth to Adeline Nora. And so we ask you to hold a space for her as she gets ready to deliver her first child and my first grandchild. Exciting time. And we'll be back in Fort Lauderdale at CPL, Center for Positive Living, or what used to be the Religious Science Center down on 15th Street. We'll be doing a full week of workshops there at Religious Science or Center for Positive Living. It's at 26th Avenue, or 28th Avenue and
26th Street.
26th Street and 15th Avenue. The streets and avenues kind of get a little confused down there for me sometimes. But anyway, that's where we'll be, and then we'll be doing stuff in Ocala. We'll be back over in Tampa at a place called Harmony Center. We'll be at Unity Ocala. So we've got lots of things going on, and we still have a little bit of space to schedule a couple of things. So if you've got a venue in Florida you'd like us to come visit, let us know. We'd love to come visit.
We actually, on Friday, December 2nd, we just scheduled last night an even shorter why workshop with the IMs group at the University Hospital.
That's right. University Hospital in Tamarack, there's what's called a near-death group that we'll be speaking to, and we're going to be talking about why is this happening to me again and how to create a conscious near-life experience. Because we live in a world that has virtually everything backward, and what the world calls a near-death experience, that is where clinical death of the body occurs. The truth is, what's so awesome about that is it's a near-life experience. It's not a near-death experience at all. Most people in this culture, I would offer, are dead by the age of 4. I mean, like serious folks, I mean they're dead. I mean they're living a programmed life that has nothing to do with what's going on around them, and that's why they're continuously blaming somebody else, because they're just living out of a program that they have no idea how to crack, and in many cases no real interest in cracking open. Forgiveness is how to crack it open. And a person who has a so-called near-death experience, where they experience clinical death, what happens is their carbon-based memory system, their program reality structure shuts down, it shuts up. And for once, for the first time in their lives, perhaps they're out of their minds, and they get to experience themselves as the awesome human beings that they are, the awesome presence of love that they are. They get the direct experience of that love. And then, if their bodies are resuscitated, they come back to the programming in that body-mind unit that tries to drag them back into the old world and the old realities. Some people succumb to it and some don't. Now, you can have a near-life experience, that is where you crack and you collapse the projections from the hostility and fear-based mind, and you experience your human life, the awesome presence of love that you are. If you're not living out of the awesome presence of love that you are, you have a problem. You've got to acknowledge that to start to crack that thing open. And so our thing in Tamarack that night will be talking about how to create a conscious near-life experience where you get your carbon-based memory and its programming and its angers and its fears and its blame and its hatred and its vengeance and its pain and its trauma and its turmoil and its self-judgment and its insanity, and you get that sucker to shut up, and you do it through forgiveness. Jeanie, you got a caller?
Yes, it's area code 970. I think that's a Colorado area code. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Hey, Michael and Jeanie. It is Carrie, your friend of many years, and I spoke with you about my relationship on Monday, and I'd like to ask you about abundance today, but I just wanted to say first, I love the comments on the hacker thing, because all of my websites have been hacked. I'm in the middle of rebuilding them, and it's really an experience to go through that, and I love the comments that were made to help me look at, I haven't been really in a rage about it because this happened to me once before, and I've just kind of been in neutral about it, but the comments just helped me feel like I could take that a deeper level of,
Cool. Would you like some feedback? Would
Sure.
you like some feedback and coaching on that?
Yeah.
So one of the things that a thought we love to use is a thought from Shakespeare where he says, "My words fly up and my thoughts remain below." And as I really pay attention to my words, I'll get to find out what's going on at the dissociated level of mind. So when you say, I wasn't in rage about that, The only brain cells that could be firing for those words to fly up have to be brain cells of rage. So it might be worth going, maybe there's another level that I've dissociated from, and it's talking to me, but, it tends to slip out in those, it's often that our Freudian slip is showing, and so there's a little game we play called the regulatory peach game, where when speech brings up something we're not conscious of, we just feed it back to each other, and it would be worth the worksheet anyway to look and see.
Great. I'll do that.
Awesome.
Well, I guess I am doing the worksheets, and I got from listening to you the other day, I need to just keep doing them over and over, and so I need to run and make some more photocopies, but I feel like I feel like I really need to do some work on the area of abundance, and I grew up in a family where it was considered sort of honorable to be poor, and
right.
I think I've definitely lived that a lot of my life, and really I'm at the first, I have a lot of great things going on with my work that I'm really excited about, and I feel like they can be very abundant for me. I haven't reached that level yet, at least in my understanding, and or at least in my bank account, I should say. I can see there's abundance there, yet I know that I feel like there's probably some aspects in me that are blocking that happening. So I guess I wanted to put it out there and say, how do I work on this?
Okay. Well, some of the things to do worksheets around might be family, and some of those early memories about where there just wasn't enough with it. That how was that to experience? Gee, was there a bill collector pounding at the door? There wasn't enough food in the refrigerator, or a necessity the family needed wasn't available because there wasn't money. So that might be a place to work. You might look at, if Dad was the breadwinner or Mom was the breadwinner, maybe some judgments or maybe some conversations that were overheard about Dad and, how he was just, whatever somebody's judgments might have been or your own judgments. So Dad is the object of attention, and then the situation is, we just don't have enough to eat tonight. And what am I feeling? I'm feeling, hungry and sad. And what's my thought? Gee, is this the way life is going to be? And what's my punishment thought? I want to get out of here.
Yeah. I think we never had enough, and if I ever asked my parents for anything, they would just say, no, we couldn't afford it. And, which is understandable in my adult mind, but in my child mind it was hard. And as a girl, they bought clothes for me that could be hand-me-downs to my brothers because I was the eldest. Until I was like 10 or something, I was wearing a boy's bathing suit and little boys' buckle boots, and it was awful. It was kind of devastating for me, just as a girl, and and just knowing that. Pardon?
What are you feeling right now?
I don't know, sad, I guess. Kind of a loss of.
What's happening with your breath?
Yeah.
What's happening with your breath?
I'm holding it.
Holding it. So here's, if you heard that first part of the show where we talked about the Uta brain cells, all of this sadness, this grief, this loss, this judgment of family, this judgment of self, this pain about having to wear boys' buckle boots, they're all the Uta brain cells that come up and impact decisions and behavior today that tend to keep us in behaviors that perpetuate those patterns. So they'd all be things to do worksheets around and to let go of. We grow up and we put a layer of concrete over those things and we want to pretend I don't ever have to deal with those. But then those become the very things that have control over our lives because they're the things that have the energy behind them that we've experienced and put a lot of emotion into and then stuffed down 1,000 times. And the worksheet is about getting directly to the core of that and dismantling it, dissolving it. And it's dissolved by the active presence of love.
So basically just do worksheets, but do them with the focus of, instead of just general things around what I can remember about my relationship to financial things in my life. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah. And make sure as you do it, you breathe, because the mechanical way that we literally create this dissociated state, and in the ancient scriptures, the word they used to describe the dissociated mind was the heart. And where they said, take care of the heart, for out of it are the issues in life. So whatever I hold my breath in the presence of, I lock energy into, I dissociate from it and lose my capacity to rationally think about it or to change it. I can sit and critically think about one of those dissociated issues, the childhood thing, and I can say, okay, well, I'm finished with that. I'm going to do it differently. But all the rational thinking, all the new choices in the world, don't touch the dissociated mind. Nothing changes it until you get it to open. And that's why the worksheet is so powerful, because when you cancel the goal, you literally collapse the projection from those Buddha brain cells or from the heart, and you get a chance to go directly to where the original energy started. And that's how you get to clean it out.
Okay.
And it's an awesome process.
Huh?
I say, and it's an awesome process, and we're delighted to be here supporting you and doing it. And I love to hear your questions. That was a good one. I'll bet you there's nobody else in the audience that had questions that were affected at all by that question. And, well, it just came up for you. Nobody, I'm sure. So we love to hear your voice, and we appreciate you, and we hope it works from our conversation earlier.
My mom and I are looking at driving over 3 hours across the state to come to the workshop tomorrow night, so we're really excited about that. So we'll look forward to
we'll find a place near the church to have dinner, and we'll look forward to joining you if you get here in time.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael.
Okay, blessings. It'll be a delight to see you.
Yep. You too.
And we have 3 more callers. All right, you all just hang on. We'll get you just as soon as we can. The first one is area code 810. Who do we have?
Gail from Michigan.
Hi.
Hi, Gail from Michigan. How are things up in 812? The last caller actually is a young lady that I met in Kalamazoo, Michigan, almost 30 years ago when we were doing workshops up there, and we've kind of kept in touch over the years. So what part of Michigan are you in?
I'm in, it's called Lum, but Attica is the mailing address. It's about a half hour from Lapeer, which is probably we're an hour from Flint.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, how can we support you today?
Well, I have a question. I've been working actually with someone that you know quite well, Rex, and
cool.
I've been seeing him for about a year. And our son and his fiancée have been going there, and our daughter. So we're all healing together, and we're all doing worksheets. And it's been a tenuous situation because they knew each other 3 months when they got pregnant, and they have a little boy. And she has a 7-year-old from a previous relationship. And they moved in with us 2 years ago. And they've been working with Rex on relationship stuff. In fact, they're at Rex's right now. And my question is, I'm also working on codependent. In fact, I'm going to order the DVD from you because I have been... that was my grandson burping, sorry. I have been working through that issue. Our son just moved back 2 months ago. He lived here for a couple months, and then they weren't getting along. And so he moved in with our daughter for about 8 months, and then he moved back a couple months ago. And this morning on their way, all of us have the tools, and I'm working on anger issues. I have rheumatoid arthritis, and as Rex tells me that a lot of it is because I have a lot of anger stored in my tissues, which I totally believe.
Right.
Okay. And I don't know how much more to take, because this morning he dropped her off to get her car in Lapeer, our son, his fiance, and took off, and everything was in the car. They had an argument, obviously. And so her keys were in the car, her purse, and so then we had to drive to Lapeer, which is a half hour from our house, to take the keys, to her so that she could drive to the appointment. And I've been doing a lot of worksheets on him not being responsible for his son.
So I'm going to invite you to take a breath on that one. Take a deep breath. And you said, we have to drive to Lapeer to take the keys.
Well, my husband drove to Lapeer because I stayed back with the 2-year-old.
Yeah, and so why is it that you're responsible for that?
And that's
called enabling. If he's in Lapeer, or he's 2 hours away and he's responsible for that, holding him accountable is the most loving thing you could do for him. So the call would be, Charlie, you drove away with everything, and you need to come back here and get it and take it so that your wife will be able to go to her appointment.
And that's what I did. I called his phone 3 times, and I said, Adam, I want you to pick up, and I want you to go take the keys back to her. And
but he knows.
Oh, I'm sure he knew.
He knows from your history that all he has to do is ignore those calls, and you're going to do it for him.
That's true.
That's called enabling. But when we enable somebody to do a behavior that's not responsible by picking up the slack and filling in, although in the instant that it happens, it's certainly more difficult, and there's going to be fallout and all kinds of stuff happen. But the most loving thing you could do would be, and this is my last call, and then you're going to have to do what you have to do. And she's going to have to do what she has to do. She's going to have to hold him accountable, and you're going to have to hold him accountable. Elsewise, he knows he just needs not to answer the phone and to ignore it, and you'll take care of it until you stop taking care of it. And there's probably going to be a nice big blow-up when you stop taking care of it. When the codependent or the addicted person, and the addiction to laziness can be a big one. When the addicted person is held accountable, they usually go stark raving berserk. That's why there's a thing called an intervention. And in intervention, there's a professional who knows how to hold this person accountable, that supports several family members coming together to hold them accountable, so that it's not just one person that is going to end up being puked on, and it's not one person on their own, but rather there's a professional that knows how to hold someone accountable and knows how to process them through their non-responsibility issues, because that's the basic key with all alcohol, drugs, whether the drug is hostility or laziness or blame or denial and dissociation, whatever it is. It's not going to be pretty. You're going to sooner or later have to face it, and it's probably not going to be pretty when it opens.
Okay.
And so you're going to want to breathe and forgive. You're going to want to clean up your judgments about him so that you can be the space of love. Because there's the most powerful way to open for a shift to take place, is that you stand in the space where you have nothing but the active presence of your human life. And we've defined in this work that a human life, if you want to test what a human life is, go and hold a newborn child. You'll know exactly what a human life is.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you are a human life in the presence of this behavior, and I'm not saying that's going to be easy. That's a challenge. When you get to your core issue, It's not easy to hold on to your human life because all of your life, and I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about all of us. We've been giving up our human lives for some form of hostility or fear rather than taking responsibility and healing. So it's going to be a challenge and a whole new learning opportunity. Fortunately, it sounds like you've got at least 4 people in the space that are doing some work and can help to hold the space for that shift to take place.
That's true. We're trying to work on it together.
Yeah. Cool. Now, is he involved in the workshops and the worksheets?
Is he?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes, he is. He is
Okay.
involved in it, and I'm just breathing, concentrating.
The other thing I'm going to suggest is that if you're going to order the Codependence DVD, I'd suggest you also order the communication. Did you hear what I think I said?
Yes, we have that one.
Okay, you've got that one. So then what I would do, my next, with what you've said so far and what happened today, I would sit down around this issue and write a responsibility communication letter.
Okay.
If you listen to that DVD, there's actually a letter in it that I read from a young man who dealt with his father around some alcohol issues. It's extremely powerful. I'd suggest you follow that model. You might want to go to the website, whyagain.com, and on the right-hand side under Download Worksheets, there's a link for communication. There's a 7-step communication tool. You can download that worksheet, and that will help you to write that letter. But I think you'll find that may help to open the space.
Okay. Yeah, because I've been doing worksheet after worksheet about it, okay, because he hasn't shown any responsibility in the past 2 years, but then I have a lot of anger about it. And
so your anger, so my offering to you would be, your mind makes the mistake of saying, I have anger about what he's doing, and that's your mind lying to you.
Right.
You don't have anger about that. You have anger.
I have anger.
Now, your mind, notice you can put your anger on that. You can put your anger on the 2-year-old when the 2-year-old does something. You can put your anger on your spouse, and you're angry because my spouse did this. And I'm angry because my employer did this, and I'm angry because the world did that. I'm angry because, well, as the woman, if you were on the first part of the show, Dr. Tim shared a story from his support group up in Crystal Lake, Michigan Illinois last night. And this woman's anger was at the person who wrote the virus software that had taken down her computer. And, of course, when she collapses that projection, she doesn't have anger toward the guy who wrote the computer virus. She has anger in her tissue, and it's destroying her tissue structure where it's stored, and she discovers it is stored in her shoulder. So when I say I'm angry about this, here's what I'm doing. I'm taking something that's inside of me that can only be corrected from the inside, and I'm hooking it to something outside of me and thinking that in order for this to go away, that has to change. And I'd offer that when you let go of that whole lie of your mind and you go, I have anger, I think I'll collapse my anger. I think I'll forgive as to my anger. And you get to the point where you remove anger, all the same things, exactly the same thing can happen, and you'll stand as a connected space of love and be empowered to bring healing to the situation. In your anger, you are an addition to the energy that creates the problem.
That's true.
In living as a human being, you are the solution to the problem.
All right. Well, thank you very much. What was it on the worksheet? On the website? Communication. Did you hear what I think I said? Worksheet. It's a 7-step communication worksheet, and it goes along with that DVD. And so I'd suggest, and on the DVD, if you've got it, if you listen to it, there's a place where I read a letter that a young man wrote to his father around some alcohol issues in their family and how it impacted their families. And so I'm suggesting that style of letter. And, of course, it won't be around alcohol. It will be around non-responsibility. But basically, following that format will give you the space to take the speck out of your eye or the beam out of your own eye and help you to be smart enough to open the space for him to be willing to look at the speck that's in his eye. Okay.
and everybody will get to move forward.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for the book. And I've read your book, and I've listened to the book on tape, and I'm going to do it again because every time I listen, I seem to get something else new from it.
Awesome.
So, all right. Thanks again. Have a great day. God's blessings.
And thank you for the call. We appreciate it. Jeanie, you've got another caller?
Yes, we do. It's area code 413. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Hi, this is Linda, and I'm calling from Massachusetts.
Hey,
and
Linda
I wanted
from Massachusetts.
I wanted to just say how much I appreciate you and your work and this hour that you give every day. I'm new in the work I think I've been doing 5 worksheets a day for about 10 days, and
awesome.
I'm working with Julie. We're working once a week together, and I don't really have a question right now. I just want to say how grateful I am to have found this work, and I've been on doing I would say mysticism kind of practices for the last several years, but some things just weren't changing, and this is just exactly the ticket for me. I would practice principles and keep my mind stayed on God, so to speak. I guess that's how I would say it. And that way I was sort of covering up. I was feeling a little better, but I wasn't really dealing with stuff that was coming up that I didn't want to look at. So, and I wanted to also, the movies that you recommend on your website are incredible. I watched 2 of them so far, and I wanted to recommend a movie that I watched the other night on Netflix, streaming through my TV, and it's called Buck, B as in boy, U-C-K. It's he trains horses. Buck, B as in boy, U-C-K.
Buck, okay.
Buck, B as in boy, U-C-K, and it's about Buck Brannaman. He trains horses. And it's a documentary about him. He was the inspiration for the movie The Horse Whisperer. And the movie is so touching. The movie just oozes integrity and dignity and love, and it's just so touching. I just wanted to share that. And I also want to thank David and Tim and Lady Jane and Dr. Bill, Jeanie and Nene and Connie and everybody who participates, because it's just, I listen to you all the time, and at night I don't know how I sleep because I listen to my iPod before I go to sleep, but I'm just very excited to start a new life here. So I thank you so much.
Well, Linda, thank you for saying thank you. And we appreciate you, too, in that you're creating an opening that is going to change the world, that you're part of doing that. There's an awesome line in the Course in Miracles that says, millions yet unborn will benefit from the work you do. And every individual who chooses to create that opening in themselves, instead of staying in the old closed, everybody else is the problem and all I want to do is run away, instead of staying in that, who changes their mind and opens an energetic window in themselves for healing, opens the space a little wider and planetary. So thank you for being willing to be part of that. It takes a lot of courage.
And I'm going to see you in Florida sometime in March. My husband and I are coming down. I don't know when or how, but we're going to be there to see you somewhere.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Are you on our mailing list?
I'm not sure if I am or not.
Okay, well, you might want to drop Jeanie an email with your contact information so that we can keep you posted as we schedule things.
Okay. I know there's someone else.
You can email Jeanie at JEANIE@WHYagain.com. Jeanie@whyagain.com.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Blessings. Thanks for the call.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And for those who are in the Lansing, Michigan area, Rex Montague Bauer is a young man that's been doing this work for the last, almost 30 years with us. And he does WISE. He's happening to be again workshop occasionally in Lansing. And I know he's got, I think the first week in December, if I remember correctly, the schedule's on our website. He's got a Healing Through Relationships workshop coming up. So if you're in Lansing, Michigan, make contact. Jump on our website, www.whyagain.com, and under travel schedules, you'll find Rex's workshops, you'll find Dayu's workshops, you'll find Nene's workshops, you'll find Dr. Tim's workshops, you will find everybody who says, I'm scheduling something in advance and want the world to know about it. So, fabulous, Jeanie. We've got another caller.
No, they have hung up, so there were 2 other callers. We're down to about 4 minutes, but if one of you wants to call back in real quickly, maybe we can get you. And anyway, we're glad that Linda called in. Thank you very much. I believe that we have been talking back and forth on email. If it's not you, it's another Linda, and she had the one that I was talking to also said she was coming to Florida. So I believe it's the same one. So we're glad that you participated with us today.
Fabulous. And David, do you have any input on any of the process that's happening or anything that's happening for you today? We kind of haven't heard from you too much in a little bit, so.
You know, the last caller was talking about that movie Buck, and that is one of them that you and I talked about. It is a fabulous movie for people to go see. And for the caller previous to that, I'm reminded that the first thought that I had was to go to the website, and there's the Ghost in Your Genes, when she was referring to prosperity and abundance and looking at the dynamics that are around it. And so much of it, as you referred to, is in the unconscious and carried on that just in, you know, the thoughts that I had around it, it just isn't in my lifetime that there are things that are just so encoded. And it opened up some files for me in remembering of growing up and having hand-me-downs and so forth. You know, I'm from a family of 13 children, and so I certainly do understand that. And one of the things that helped me put some things in perspective was when I was watching a documentary on the Rockefellers. And what, you know, the Rockefellers were at one time the most powerful and richest families in the world. And David D. Rockefeller was the only son that was in that, and he wore his sister's hand-me-down dresses until he was about 8 or 9 years old. And they had more wealth, money-wise, material-wise, than anyone in the world at that particular time. So there can be a lot of different things in order to go in and undo. And, you know, if there's a moment whether we could talk, well, there's just a couple of minutes that we might take off tomorrow to be talking about that source that's within us that will help undo that unconscious behavior, that unconscious beliefs, without having to look at every little act and everything that's happened. So that's
right.
My feedback.
Great. And, you know, you bring up a good point when you talk about that with the Rockefellers, because money's got nothing to do with poverty or wealth. You know, we are creators. We live in an absolutely abundant world. And for those who have millions of dollars, there can be an abundance of poverty as well, because whatever it is that we ask for, we get to play out of. And the tendency is to not know how to ask for anything that's outside of your genetic structure, which is what's been going on in your generations for who knows how long. And so the African proverb that's so powerful, and I appreciate you, David, and I appreciate you, Tim, and everybody that calls in, that African proverb that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I am here to go together with everyone who's ready to head there and bring forward the truth about our human beingness and create, individually and collectively, the best year yet of our eternal lives. Bring a stranger to the show tomorrow. Thanks for being with us. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie, who present that internal Ara-maic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeanie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.worksheet.com. whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.